Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Philosophy for Philistines channel on April the 1st, where I'm not going to try to fool you. I'm going to try to have a very short and pointed discussion on some important things that I've noticed over the last few days. A well meaning, enlightened person does not seek to belittle others. Ad hominem rhetoric and logical fallacies are evident on all sides of the current discussion around cancel culture, climate alarmism, the CCP virus, lockdowns, corrupt government, and global forces which seek to undermine civil liberties and economic liberty. Restoring civil liberties to civil society requires deep, thoughtful, civil discussion. Sadly, that is exactly what is lacking today. In my own small attempt to address this issue, I created the Philosophy for Philistines channel, where those who may not be familiar with philosophy, psychology, and religion might find a useful resource to better understand the complexity of the current attack on rational discourse, disciplined thought, ethics, epistemology, and the rich cultural ethos which the current postmodern deconstructionists seek to tear down. Deeply embedded in our collective unconscious are archetypes which present themselves as eternal themes as to how humanity makes sense of the universe. These archetypes are profoundly religious, which is why, in my own case, I understand the importance of my personal faith in Christ in relation to these archetypical themes. In rejecting the very nature of our collective unconscious, Nietzsche made a prophecy. He predicted modern man, with his rejection of the divine, would need to create his own value structure which would exist outside of human nature. As a result of assuming the impossible task of creating this superhuman, or Ubermensch as Nietzsche called him, humanity is needed to attempt to re-engineer the very structure of reality. This act led to all the murderous totalitarian tyranny of the last century, and sadly, or perhaps even terrifyingly, we are headed in this direction once again, with all the current talk of the Great Reset proposed by the global elite. The alt-right often assigned low-resolution, simplistic reasons for our current cultural crisis, but we can see the reason for our situation is far worse than the alt-right falsely assumes. People do not become postmodern neo-Marxists because they are stupid or brainwashed. Rather, it is the result of hatred over the very structure of our existence and a loathing of the nature of humanity itself. Therefore, they attempt to recreate reality in their own image. This is, in fact, idolatry. And in doing so, they invariably make the state their idol. But why? Does the alt-right suppose that Kant, Nietzsche, Marx, Foucault, Derrida, Hitler, Mao, Stalin, et al. Were stupid? Is the very father of lies stupid? If he were, he would not have been able to deceive so many. It is easier to surrender your individual accountability to a faceless horde than to take on the burden of self-actualization and sacrifice which individual accountability demands. Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate, and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. So God has set before us life and death. Choose life. God bless you all.